Welcome back to our latest episode of Real Questions and Real Faith. I'm your host, Darren Gabriel, and today we're answering the question, what's the story of the church that tipped back? So I was in our home group a couple of weeks ago, and a young lady, her name, we'll call her Trish, was telling the story of where she works as a server at a local restaurant. And in this restaurant, the servers get tips and that sort of thing. And there was a new server that was working that day that she tells the story of. She tells the story that she was working. It was her new young lady serving, and there was a large church group that came in, and their tab was about $600. And when they left her a tip of about $20. And she tells the story because it really upset the girl. She was new, and she knew she didn't do a perfect job and all that, but both of them, both Trish and this young lady, were just disturbed with both being Christians, and here was a church group that came in and they only tipped $20, and it was just heartbreaking to hear the story. So as we're sitting there all together, and this is part of our share time, we share the highs and lows of our past week. Each person goes around and shares, and this was Trish's. It just really I felt like God impressed on me to make a suggestion to the group. And I said, well, what if we tipped her? What if our group took up a collection and sent her a tip on behalf of that church? And the group really warmed to the idea quickly. And so by the end of the week, we had collected about $300 and gave her that tip. And I just wanted to share that because I thought that was a pretty neat thing to do. Now, her reaction was terrific. She loved it. It really overwhelmed her and made her, she was already looking for a church and made her want to come and visit. But that wasn't the reason we did it. The point was sometimes we as God's people don't always represent him well. And, sermons are important and they have their place and they're certainly life-changing for people. But some of the sermons that we speak are actually through our actions, and they can be powerful too and not always for the good. And so what our hope is, and I believe what God did, was he had us preach a sermon by putting our money where our mouth is. And I'm glad we got to do that. It was a blessing for us, even more than for her. But I wanted to share that just to remind us that we all are representing Christ as a follower of Christ. We're either representing him well or not, and probably no one's doing it perfectly consistent. But the point is that our actions do speak loudly, and that sometimes we're not going to get it right, but sometimes there can be something done about that. And so we're trying to just be the best neighbors ever where we live, work, learn, and play as a church. And that just seemed like a good way to be a good neighbor for this young lady. And so I wanted to share that with you and just share grace and peace to you as well. And if this was a blessing to you, maybe you could like, subscribe, maybe even share it with somebody that you think would really benefit from it. And if you want to learn more about us, you can check out our church at gracetoday.net. Otherwise, grace and peace.